I want to give you my own definition of the word hope. This is what hope means to me as I contemplate all of its possibilities and implications. Hope is a conviction. It's something that's deep down in your heart. It's a conviction, and it's so powerful that it compels you to act. When you have hope, you cannot not act. When you have hope, it draws you into the unknown. When you have hope, you acknowledge that you have no idea at all how this is going to work, but there's something stirring in your soul, this conviction that you can't walk away from this challenge. You cannot turn your head and look in a different direction because of this painful situation you see in the world. It is a conviction that spurs you to action. It is the kind of conviction that will cause you to act courageously. Not because you feel so courageous, but this thing called hope. It just keeps bugging you. You keep trying. You get very intentional about how you use your time and how you make your decisions. You become very joyful because somehow, deep down in your heart, you know that God has chosen you. You know that God is with you. You acknowledge that you don't have all the answers. In fact, you acknowledge that you can't always hear God, that you strain into wanting to know, God, what are you saying? What are you requiring of me? But the conviction, it keeps rising up. It keeps moving within you, and it compels you to act. You can't be still. You can't just lay down and die. You have a conviction. You have a hope. You have that kind of biblical hope that keeps you going forward. People who operate out of the biblical hope are relentless. They're relentless in their faith. They are not smarter than anyone else. They don't have any special gifting than anyone else, but they have learned the power of hope. They have learned that as long as they have hope, there is life. As long as they have hope, there is possibility. Oftentimes, we have to be awakened from our depression. We have to be awakened from a very lackadaisical and narrow-minded worldview to recognize that we've been born in this generation for such a time as this because God has hope in us. That God has gifted each and every one of us with the power to make choices that change the world. The prophet Isaiah had to encourage the people who had despaired of their situation, had gotten so down in the dumps, so far away from hope, that they actually were not only despondent, but they were barely alive, barely breathing, just making it from day to day to day. The prophet said to them, there's more to life than just making it from day to day to day. It is time for you to arise to a new life, that God has shone God's light on you, that the light, that the answer, that the expectation has come, and that there are people who will come to you seeking to learn of this hope that has been put in you. The prophet had to shake them from their poor, low self-esteem and lethargy. They had to shake them and say, do you know who you are? You are God's chosen people. You are the people in whom God has invested hope. That when God saw you before you were in your mother's womb, that God gifted you, and God empowered you, and God enabled you to do astonishing things, that you have been born for this situation and for this time in history to make light be known from generation to generation to generation, that there are no outsiders in this great plan of God, that God is an inclusive God, that God is using people that you would not imagine could even be used, that God is stirring up hope. God is stirring up the conviction that there are people in the world, even now, that are being awakened to the possibility that perhaps maybe can make a difference in the chaos and the confusion of this present darkness. There are people that God is stirring up to try again, to hope again, to live again, to believe again, that there is a hopefulness that has been birthed in the earth that will not be beat down by disappointment, that will not be beat down because all the answers are clear. There's a hopefulness, there's a giftedness that is emerging from the people of God, from the peoples of the world, from every nation, from every creed, from every lifestyle, a new expression of the understanding that they do not have to curse the darkness, complain about the darkness, but that they can be part of the answer for all that God is doing. 3 persons among a crowd of people made a decision to bring some gifts to the Christ child. 3 gifts, just 3 gifts. It's what they had. They began on a journey with these gifts. I believe that it was probably a whole caravan of them because journey was treacherous and difficult during that time. 3 people probably would not have gone alone on such a journey, but they did have these gifts. Know beyond a shadow of a doubt that God is so faithful, that God will bring people alongside you during 2019 to stir up your hope, that God will use you to be that which ignites hope in another. These who travel in search of Jesus, in search of the answer of all humanity, push their way through obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. Sometimes when we read the story, it's if it was just like that. They just started on their journey, they got to Jerusalem, they got the answers that they needed from Herod, that indeed it was not difficult at all. Just a nice little Bible story. But I beg to differ with that simplistic understanding of the scripture. I believe it was tough. I believe it was hard. I believe there were parts of persons on the journey with them that said, are you sure? Are you sure that you actually saw a star? Are you sure that star out of every other star has meaning just because it's bright? You mean to tell me you're putting all your expectation on a star? But there were enough among them that encouraged a hopefulness to keep on pushing. I believe God is raising up people of hopefulness throughout this nation and throughout the world that are encouraging one another, no matter how dismal, no matter how dark, no matter how difficult these days are, that God has put something in us that can make a difference, that we're going to arise, we're going to stand up, we're going to let hope empower us to make new choices, choices that encourage others, choices that enable us to stand up and do what others say is impossible. This is what Paul did in his writings, and you can see it throughout. After difficulty after difficulty, after nearly losing his life, Paul had hope that what God had revealed to him was of such importance that God would sustain him. He had to deal with rejection from his own people. And there are many of you that have dealt with a lot of rejection. And rejection can eat at your heart. It can eat at your self-esteem. It can try to devour you. You can allow the words that have been spoken by hopeless people to so demoralize you that you won't even stand up and try. You won't even believe. But I've come to declare to you this morning that this is a new year. This is a new beginning. That you are going to be ignited with such a conviction that you are going to try. You're going to stand up. You're going to believe. You're going to understand that you do have a gift. You have something to offer. And the whole world is waiting for you and for me to just believe again, just to hope again, just to rise again. Paul had to get up after many obstacles. He had to take advantage of every bad situation and turn it into a hope-driven situation. Did you know that most of the letters that Paul wrote were written from prison? Not from a comfortable office, not with all of the support and help of technology, but in a prison, in a dark and dank place. Prison was for losers. Prison was a place you put people to shut them up and shut them down. But because of the hope that Paul had, because Paul recognized, if God has given me this gift to write, I cannot not write. If God has given me this ability to proclaim the gospel, regardless of what situation I find myself in, I am determined, I am convicted to find a way to proclaim the good news of the gospel for such a time as this. And he did. And he encouraged many churches. And his writings are still before us today. He who had a terrible past of persecuting the church and denying Christ's movement in the world, had an encounter with Christ that forever ignited a hope in him. And that is my prayer for us in 2019, that we won't get stuck in an old mindset, that we won't believe that we can do nothing about the present darkness in our world and our community, that we will be so convicted and so convinced that God is with us and that God has gifted us, that we will begin to act in ways that are courageous, that we will be intentional in how we use our time. We will be intentional in how we use our financial resources. We will seek God for wisdom because God promises through the writings of James, if you like wisdom, ask God. I love the fact that the wise in the story of those that came to bring gifts to Jesus are described as wise, although they did not have all of the answers to their problems. They didn't know exactly how to get to Jesus. They knew they had a desire to get there. They had enough encouragement in their hearts to want and desire to get there, but they did not have all the answers. Sometimes we get stuck because we don't have all the answers. We want this blueprint. We want it all laid out, step by step by step. But God calls you and God calls me to be people of faith, a people who have a hope and an expectation that although I don't have all the answers, I refuse to be stuck. I refuse not to act. I refuse not to engage this present hour with an expectation that as I go along the journey, indeed God will give me the answers I need. To understand that we are stewards of God's grace, that we have been graced for this present darkness, that we have been graced by God to make a difference in the world, that we are called to bring our giftedness before Christ, to lay out all that we are, our lives, where we are at this moment, in this season, and say, God, this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. Show me, oh God, as I bring this before you, how indeed it can be used as hope for someone else. Help me to make new choices, better choices, choices that are driven by hope and not despair. Move me out of the pit of depression and despair. Pull me out and let me see the light that is so bright and shining that nations are seeking that light. Help me to be that light for such a time as this. Oh, I pray, people of God, that we will be convinced and convicted that indeed God passionately desires to use each and every one of us. We are differently gifted. Those who brought those gifts each had a different gift. There was gold, there was frankincense, there was myrrh. Those gifts were used for different uses, but they were all needful for Christ's journey and even his ultimate death and resurrection. Those gifts were essential, and I want you to know this morning that each one of you is essential. You have been stewarded with a grace. You have been stewarded with a power. And that as you seek God in wisdom, God will give you direction. That you are to walk in the wisdom as far as you know. And when you get to a point where you don't know what to do, you just stop and say, God, this is all I understand. Tell me the next step. That's what happened to those who came before King Herod. They went to Herod. They got the information that was made available to them. But there came a point where God, who knew the very of Herod, gave them some new instruction, new ways of living, new direction, and they followed those directions, and they left with joy because God had allowed them to look with their own eyes on the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, that God had brought them all through this arduous journey to the place of recognition that they are indeed God's chosen people. We still share their story as we remember how light impregnated them, how light pierced the darkness of their journey and enabled them to bring what they had. And oh, what they had was so needful. I want you to know that what you have is needful. Do not allow yourself, don't talk down to yourself. Refuse to try to cover the fire and the passion and the grace that God has put in you. Refuse to allow anyone to disregard who you are and what you are capable of. You are God's chosen people. You are people of hope. And I pray that 2019, I believe that 2019 will be your best year yet, because you are going to act out of a conviction that is so powerful that you will be intentional, you will be courageous, and you will be full of joy. You will not go through 2019 with your head bowed in despair, wringing your hands about the problems of this world. Instead, you're going to rise up. You're going to recognize that you've been chosen, that God knows what God is doing for such an hour as this, that you have been brought to be a people who are fearlessly careful and mindful, that you are stewards of grace, that glory has shined on you, and that indeed this is your year of hope, your year of expectation, that this is the year that your gifts are open and made very visible to the world, that this is the year, this is the season when you're going to make new choices, not using your willpower. We know how well willpower will keep us if you've ever made a resolution. But God's power is impenetrable. God's power will enable you to get up even when you fail. God's power working in you and through you is so powerful that it will not be quenched by disappointment. It will not be quenched because you don't have all the answers. You are a hope-driven people, working out of a conviction that God is with you, that God will help you. And I can assure you that this indeed will be your best year ever. Because you're going to walk in the light of hope, not hopelessness, not depression and despair, but hope, a conviction. Since God has chosen me to be a carrier of hope, that same God will give me the wisdom in how to share that hope, with whom to share that hope, that I will not keep my hope hidden, that I will be unashamed of the fact that I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, unashamed of the fact that in spite of my flaws and my past, that God has indeed shined God's glorious light on me. And the forces of darkness had better get out of my way, because I've learned something from the text of Scripture. I've learned that I can get wisdom by just asking, that I can be courageous out of a conviction, that I choose to be a person of hope. Let's pray. Eternal God, thank you for giving us light. And thank you for investing so much hope in each and every one of us. Thank you for grace that is sufficient for every challenge. Thank you for this great church and these great people who have been set on fire. Thank you how you're flaming and waving your hand of grace over the fire of convicted hope. Thank you, Lord God, for what you will do with the people of First United Methodist Church in Waukegan. In the name of